So right now we're filming question and answer number 20. I know we've done 20 of these, and each time I try to do 20 questions, so you do the math. Just saying. I hope that this is enlightening you, giving you more information about me, and hopefully filling in the blanks if you had any questions. Which apparently you did. Okay, here we go. What's the most annoying question that people ask you? There's a lot of them, actually. The first one I would have to say is polycystic ovarian syndrome. What is it? And can you explain it? It's like they don't have Google. They can't go to that. They can't find out what it is. They have to go to me to be the one to fill them in. The next thing I would say, another annoying question, does bothering your grandma bother you? Or does losing your grandma or your dad bother you most? Which one? And it's like, that's another annoying question. Another one that I can think of right off the top of my head, you're going to lose your tooth. How does that make you feel? How do you think that makes me feel? Another thing that I get asked is about the virtual marriage. All the time people want to know more about it, exactly what that means, and how does one go about it, and would they recommend it? I get all these wonderful questions. So yes, those are very annoying. Okay, next question. What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation? 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation. I would say that I would probably present the wording of the song The Rose, made famous to me by Conway Twitty. Some would say Bette Midler. That's an argumentative point. But the wording, I would probably read the words of that song, and then I would say, does love really exist? Or is it just lust that we're after? Because love rarely exists, in my mind. So probably that would be the 40-minute presentation that I could do without preparation. What's the single best day on the calendar? I try to make the most of every day, because every day is a gift from God. So I don't think that one day matters more than the other. It's just another day. What is something everyone should do at least once in their lives? In life, in order to live it to its best extent, we have to make mistakes. And I think that no one is extant from this, that everyone makes mistakes. But I think everyone needs to forgive, maybe not forget, but forgive and move forward. What's worth spending more on to get the best of? In life, as I have gotten older, which I'll be 42 in August, I have learned that the greatest gift of all is something you can't buy at a store, something you can't purchase over the internet, something that you can't return for the purchase of the money of the item that you purchased. It's the gift called time. Now, some of those think that money matters more than time. And for those, I truly apologize, but you're not living the best out of the life that you can live. Because I don't know of a gravestone that talks back. Do you? What is something that a ton of people are obsessed with, but you just don't get the point of? Game of Thrones. I haven't watched it. I don't really know what it is. But I would say it must not be that important because I don't know what it is. Next thing, let's go. What's the most interesting place you've been? I would have to say when I was younger, everything was more interesting. As I've gotten older, it takes a lot to impress me. So, I don't know. I would say the most interesting place I've ever been was the theme park Opryland. Or if you are really going back in the ancient history, there was a place in Effingham, Illinois, at the mall there called Lincoln Land. and they used to have this inside like theme park, and I loved the Scrambler. Oh my gosh, I begged to go on that thing. That was my favorite ride. But anyway, just saying. What's something you've been meaning to try but just haven't gotten around to it? Instead of a virtual marriage, I would love to be a real wife, and I would love to be a real mother. So I would love to not have a virtual marriage, but something real, and know that he is not going to cheat on me or leave me for someone better, or for someone that will give him something that I don't believe in before marriage. And we all know what that is. Let's try to be positive. Think of one great thing that happened last week. Ha! One great thing that happened last week. Okay, the only thing that I can think of that was extremely positive last week would have to be that I got my renewal for my driver's license, and I'm a safe driver here in the state of Illinois, so all I have to do is send in the money. Yeehaw! How different was your life 1 year ago? Night and day different. At this time last year, my grandma and my dad, Mike, was still living. And I don't know. Everything has not been going my way for a long, long time. And I'm just kind of depressed, honestly. But I'm trying to work through the best that I can. What's the best way to start the day? I have a routine, and if someone was to mess up that routine, you wouldn't want to see me. That wouldn't be a good day. I get up in the morning, I feed all the animals. It feels like the zoo, trust me. Then by the time I'm done doing that, I fix my breakfast, get my grandpa a glass of apple juice, sit down, eat my breakfast, which is a banana and a bowl of oatmeal that has apple cinnamon in it. I have a little bit of apple juice for myself, some milk, and then I get moving, start my day. So that's, to me, is the best way to start my day. What quirks do you have? Quirks? I'm very scheduled. I go by my schedule, and I don't like to be interrupted. I like everything planned. I don't like surprises. I would say that everybody's been picking on me about this giving up on love thing, but honestly, I'm tired of being hurt. I'm tired of coming in second to God knows what at this point. I'm tired of being blamed for everything. I can't do anything right. So therefore, I just live my life to my schedule, and that's it. What would you rate 10 out of 10? Customer service at my bank. I think they're really top. But other than that, it takes a lot to rate 10 out of 10 with me. Honesty, forthrightness, able to, if you know I'm going to be unhappy, but yet you keep it from me, then that's not being a 10 out of 10. But I just like being above board on everything. What do you hope never changes? In life, I don't think anything is really ever secure. We can always say that, this is the way it ought to be, but, we have hopes, but in reality, it wouldn't be life if it didn't change. So I can't really answer that question. What city would you most like to live in? I'd like to visit lots of cities, but even as boring as Mattoon is my hometown. What's the best way a person can spend their time? With their family or loved ones. Make every moment count. You never know when your last moment here on earth is going to be. And just because you look good today doesn't mean you won't drop dead tomorrow. That's what I keep telling myself. And of course, I'm very self conscious, and I'm very, well, one of my friends said anal about my mouth. And I said, maybe I am, but you know what? It's my mouth. Why did you decide in college to change your major from business administration to telecommunications? I was very unhappy with business administration. So much unhappiness that I was skipping class. And the reason I was skipping class was I wasn't finding any joy in it. I wasn't, being like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to be out behind a desk, being basically just, you know, a lackey, if you will. And I didn't want that. So in my life, I had seen and heard stories from my grandma of being a telephone operator. And I remember going in school, I think we were in grade school, and we actually got to go on the sales floor and see I call it sales floor, even though whatever you want to call it, see all the operators in action. And to me, it was just like a dream come true. And I can remember watching one of the girls take a phone call, and I was like, I want to do this job. It's so awesome. And, you know, I don't know if it's paying tribute so much to my grandma to be a telephone operator, or the way I felt about the profession when I was on the floor, like as a kid looking at the profession from the outside in. But to me, it's rewarding in its own way, because each call is different, and each call is a new story that you can just remember and smile sometimes. And then, of course, nothing is ever, where perfect, where you have the customers that are, not grouchy. But then there's the times that you're like going, I'm going to learn from that. I'm going to take that bad experience. I'm not going to let it sour me. I'm going to be better. And that's going to teach me to be better. That's how I always look at life. What are some things you had to unlearn? Heartbreak is one of the biggest things that you have to unlearn. When my dad left, I had to unlearn in my own way to love him, because he didn't love me. He didn't stay in contact with me. He had no idea that I was worried out of my mind, wondering where he was at, if he was safe, and he could have cared less about me. And that hasn't changed to this day. And, at that time, and still to this day, I feel like that, okay, I had to unlearn to love him. Maybe that created all my insecurities in all my relationships. Maybe that made me feel like I wasn't ever going to be good enough to be in a relationship. Maybe it hindered them. But, it made me feel like, okay, I seen my mom go from this loving and, wanting to be so codependent on him to have to be independent, to have to do things on her own, learn how to do things on her own. And then Mike came along, and of course, at the time I was the daughter that, didn't want her to get married, because here, I've had her to myself for all that time, and I didn't want to share, And then, they got married, and I had an extended family, and I'm so grateful for that now. And, I just feel like you have to live through those experiences to actually know where to go in life. And I have watched throughout the years my grandparents, their relationship, and how each one would get mad. But my grandpa, he always jumped in that car, drove around the block, came back in, and he would cool off, and it would be fine by then. But that's how he would deal. My grandma, she would just be quiet, and she'd give that deadly silent treatment where she wouldn't talk. And I was, always worried when I was a kid when, they would threaten to get a divorce and everything. But they'd work things out. And that's what love does. It works things out. You can see the worst of the worst and the best of the best. You can tell them go to hell. But you know what? It's like that Toby Keith song, Pack Up and Go With Her. That's the name of the song. Eventually, you work things out. If you sit down, listen, communicate, comprehend, and go forward. You can't comprehend on a one-sided conversation. You can't jump to conclusions. You can't listen to rumors. You can't be like, okay, this is the way it is, and I'm shutting off. You can't do that. It's just not functional. What are you looking forward to in the coming months? Life has dealt me some bumps this year, hasn't it? But if I was to think about the one thing it did grant me, was to get out of financial debt. And my biggest hope, my biggest dream, is to adopt. Because I'm not, I can't, a relationship is harder than hell for me. And for me to actually be confident enough that a guy is going to listen to what I have to say and not walk away, I can't do that. So adoption is the best effort for me. And I cannot wait, and I cannot hope enough and pray enough to be blessed with children. If that means adoption is my only way, then that means adoption is my only way. And I'm okay with that. What age do you want to live to? You know, every day that we're here on earth, it's a gift from God. So to say that I want to end my life or to not live would be horrible. But I can remember being a child, and one of my friends and I, we were drawing this picture of a cemetery. And she was teaching me how to do the tree, how to do the moon, and how to fix the gravestone. And at that time, I was so depressed because my parents kept fighting. And I had wrote on the tombstone, my grave date. I didn't want to live to be an old person. I wanted to be that fair and young song. Live fast, die hard, and leave a beautiful memory. I probably just messed that up. Live fast, love hard, die young, and leave a beautiful memory. Well, I've always loved hard. And I hope to leave beautiful memories behind. And love to me is not about sex before marriage. Love to me is about communication, listening, understanding, comprehending. And, sometimes it doesn't go that way. And so therefore, what age would I like to live to? Just the age to be thoroughly a mother and be happy with that. Everybody says, well, what's that one last thing you want to happen while you have all your teeth? At least that's what the receptionist asked me today. And I said, the one last thing that I want to happen before I lose my one tooth is not even going to happen. It's not even on the radar. I said, it would be to have a kiss by the man that I love the most, and it's not going to happen. I said, we have to be, here in, USA rational. I said, not irrational. And we don't live in fairy tales. We don't live in Hallmark movies. Things like that just doesn't happen. So, as long as I can live a healthy and happy life, I don't care what age I live to. And that's what we have to say each and every day to all of ourselves. We're not promised another day. We're not promised, how life is going to play out. We just got to wing it and go with it. At least that's what I'm doing right now. So when everybody asks me stupid questions like, do you think this is going to happen and that's going to happen? This is my new answer. I don't know what's going to happen because I'm not God. I don't handle the cards anymore. He does. And as far as I care, the only thing that matters to me is that I get to become a mom. And I know that my age is working against me. I know that my ovaries, God help them, polycystic ovarian syndrome. I'll be lucky and blessed to be a mom by adoption. And I'm fine with that. It's just, I was really hoping by now, before the tooth even happened, that I would be married for real, not virtual, and hoping that I would have my own kids. But if you look at it from a strange perspective, I'm virtually married one more time. I have to get a divorce. I've gotten a divorce once, so the renewal of the vows is now canceled. I have to get one more. But I've had a lot of work daughters, and for that, I'm blessed because I'm a work daughter of my work mom. And, some of them may remember that, and I'm grateful for that because I touched their lives or I've inspired them to do something. And that's how you make a difference. And that's what I hope going forth I can do, but for my own child. So, if I was to die tomorrow, I would hope that I would be remembered as a loving, caring person that gave her all. Didn't get it in return, but damn it, for heck's sake, she gave it her all. Now, before I get too emotional, I'm going to sing one song and go work out. So, I'll talk to y'all tomorrow with more 20 questions.